Good morning to those of you on Zoom and on YouTube. We'll be starting in just a moment. Good morning and welcome to the daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn. I'm very glad to have you along. We are studying the book of Genesis for the rest of the month of July, just as we did in much of June. And today we are, or this week, I should say, we are in chapter 24, which is the story of Abraham's servant trying to find a wife for Isaac. Abraham sends his servant with very specific instructions about going back to his homeland, the land of his father, and instructions about finding a wife there, and explicit instructions about not getting a wife from Canaan, from the Canaan region. And so the faithful servant does as he is told, and he takes off with a bunch of camels and a bunch of other servants, and journeys to the homeland, which is somewhere in Mesopotamia. And this morning, I'd like for us to look at a few of the verses here, with the servant retelling the story of what happened at the well with Rebecca, his story about finding Rebecca, and he's telling it to Rebecca's family. And in telling it, I want you to pay attention to the fact that he's essentially telling about how he was praying most of the time. In that encounter with Rebecca, he was praying to the Lord. So this is Abraham's servant at the spring, or at the well, where Rebecca appears. Verse 42 in Genesis chapter 24. I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if now thou wilt prosper the way which I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the young woman who comes out to draw, to whom I shall say, pray, give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also, let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I had done speaking, and this is the servant explaining to Rebekah's family, before I had done speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew. I said to her, pray, let me drink. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and worshiped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you will deal loyally and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. So, just a couple of things that I want to mention in this passage. First of all, the fact that the servant is praying to God. He's retelling what happened, and he's telling Rebecca's family that he prayed to God that the woman who comes out to draw water and whom he asked for water, if she says, I will draw for your camels also, then I will know that's the one that you've chosen for my master's son. And one of the things I want to point out here, I think, is the nature of one's daily relationship with God in praying. um, in this sort of way, where all of the details of our lives are related to God. One of the things I want to point out, I think, is that the one who prays this way is not treating God as like a genie in the bottle who is going to respond to every little request and provide every little thing that that I ask for. Rather, the one who prays in this way is one who recognizes and appreciates that all things are from God. All things are from God. So the one who prays in this way is not praying to a genie, but praying with the recognition that every little thing that happens is from God. And so the blessed person, then, the one who is blessed by God, is not the one who gets lots of stuff. Lots of people get lots of stuff. The blessed person is the one who recognizes that that stuff is a gift from God, that these things are from God, that they're blessings from God. And so, in the same way, the details that happen in our lives are not examples of God doing little things responding to our whims and requests in our daily lives. Rather, they are from God in the sense that all things are from God. And those of us who pray to God and bless God are those who recognize that. We're the ones who recognize that every little thing is from God. And we do that uh, um, throughout our day, in an ordinary day. And this is what Abraham's servant is doing. The other thing I want to say before we go is that um, this servant is retelling something that happened. He's retelling a story, which is really important for us, that a major part of our spiritual maturity and growth, our development, is retelling these stories, retelling them over and over and in different contexts and in different uh, circumstances. And they mean different things for us. So it's really important. This is why we have Sunday school. This is why we spend a lot of time teaching in Bible study and in the sermon Sunday morning, because retelling these stories is such an important part of our spiritual development. Let's close with this word of prayer. Almighty God, from whose bosom we dropped into life, we know so little of ourselves, of the path we tread or where it leads, but thou knowest, and in this we rest. We seem to carry with us memories of infinite space, which make this mighty frame of things nothing but a narrow prison. As if remembering better things, we are sick at the sadness we see all around us and pained at the evil we find in our own hearts. Yet soon the haunting recollection fades away and we grow satisfied. The vision of purity is lost and we cease to be surprised at sin. The glamour of earth would teach us to forget our origin. The temptations of the world would lead us to sell our birthright. It is hard for us to understand that it was thy will that sent us to this place, so that we might come to know ourselves and be prepared to share the glory of thyself. Yet only thus believing can life be bravely lived or its purposes made plain. Teach us then, O God, not to despise the things of earth, the narrow way, the weary task, the pettiness of people, its trials, misunderstandings, and strife, nor trifle with its passing opportunities, nor scorn its swiftly ebbing day. Enable us to bear the fret of care, to keep through toil of brain and hand unbroken vigil of the soul. Help us to play our part in the life of our times, think truly, act kindly, strike a blow for freedom, and having made some heart glad for knowing us, and leaving the world better for our sojourn in it, May we find beyond these bounds and burdens of time a throne prepared and a crown held out for our reward. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn. Please join us again every morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day. Goodbye.